Here's what you need to know about the Tudor Black Bay Chrono M79360. It comes with a panda dial configuration and a reverse panda dial. We have both, let's go. With this Black Bay, Tudor celebrates the 50th anniversary of its chronograph. Just like its bigger brother, Daytona, it comes in two dial flavors. In this case, black with white subdials and white with black subdials. At first, when I received the watches, I favored the white dial with black subdials. But after a few days, I realized that I already was fed up with it. White dials and I have a strange relationship. I also feel that the black dial sports watch is more classic and will stay classic. I could be wrong though. Nevertheless, the black dial with white subdials is my favorite. On with the boring stuff. Specifications. This watch has a diameter of 41mm and a height of 14.4mm and a lug-to-lug of nearly 50mm. Inside we find caliber MT5813. It has a power reserve of 70 hours, a silicone hairspring and has been certified by COSC. Normally, the chronometer standard allows an average daily deviation of -4 to +6 seconds per day. But just like Rolex, Tudor was a bit stricter than the official standard. For this movement, Tudor insisted on an improved accuracy of -2 to +4 seconds per day on average. As you probably know, Tudor has a partnership with Breitling when it comes to the movements. Breitling uses Tudor's 3 hands movement in certain models, and Tudor uses a chronograph movement based on the Breitling B01. Pretty interesting if you ask me, because Rolex would also be perfectly capable of supplying movements or developing a special range for Tudor. So my guess is that it's mainly a strategic decision. If we look at the case, it has slightly larger proportions than a Daytona or Speedmaster, for example. It does wear and look a bit more clunky, mainly because of the shape of the case. It is rather straight. There's only a slight curve towards the end of the lugs. The side of the case has been polished, while the top of the lugs has a satin brushed finish. It's a very fine brushed though. Then there's the famous polished bevel on the lugs. I love the look of those, but they also give me the creeps sometimes. That's because my first Sea Dweller was brought in for a service and came back with these polished bevels completely gone at an official Rolex service center. The horror. But this was a long time ago and they fixed it in the end. I had to check whether they just didn't replace the case of the Sea Dweller, but all the numbers still matched. So they just did an amazing job fixing it. Anyway, let this be a warning. Take care of your bevels. Anyway, this Tudor uses the typical oyster case. So screw down case back, screw down crown and, just like the Daytona, screw down pushers. It is something I don't particularly like, as you need to unscrew them first before you use them. And very often I just want to use the chronograph quite spontaneously. So that's only possible when you keep them unscrewed. It is of course done for water resistance, which is 200 meters for this watch. But there are also watches out there with a pusher construction that is not screwed down, yet water resistant to 300 meters. So it is possible. On top of the case we find the black steel bezel with aluminum insert. Then we come at the bracelet, an oyster style looking bracelet with rivets. Or rivet look, I have to say. In the far past these things had a function. But not anymore. It is just there for aesthetical reasons. I would have left them off, to be honest. It is like the AP Royal Oak chronograph a few generations ago, where the screws didn't go all the way through the case, but just were there for looks. Luckily, they fixed that at some point. This oyster style bracelet looks and feels solid though. The clasp comes with a flip lock to prevent it from falling open by accident. The clasp is a bit bulky and has no easy adjustment, but just use the small holes in the clasp. That will do it. The dial has 2 subdials, a bicompax layout, so to speak. There's a 45-minute counter at 3 o'clock and the running seconds are at 9 o'clock. I am not so much a fan of the 45-minute counter. I prefer a 30-minute counter myself. I don't play soccer. There's a date window at 6 o'clock and I'm happy they used a white disc with black printing. I know it's nicer looking when the day disc is in the color of the dial, but white printing on a black background isn't exactly easy reading for me. I like the dial of the watch, also on the white model, but I just prefer the black one. The hands look familiar to the Tudor fans, as the hour hand has this typical square at the end. It's therefore called the snowflake hand. The minute hand is sleek and perfectly touched the minute scale on the dial. The same for the central chronograph seconds hand. The red tip touches the scale for a perfect readout. This watch has a retail price of $5,225. It's slightly cheaper on a strap, $4,900. It doesn't matter which strap, the fabric or the leather. The fabric straps from Tudor are very nicely made. but often feel a bit too soft and too floppy for such a heavy watch. The leather boot strap looks very cool. The only thing that I don't like is that it comes with a folding clasp. I know it's more luxury, and often people expect to get a folding clasp when talking about watches with these kind of price tags, but it just doesn't make sense to me in combination with a boot strap. Anyway, buy it on stainless steel, and if you like a boot strap, have one made by one of the artisans offering custom-made leather straps. Thanks for watching this video. Leave a comment and do all the stuff you need to do, like following us and hitting the notification bell. Thanks for watching.